Hi, this is Frode, and welcome to this video. Today we're going to explore ideas like EXCUSITIS, planting money seeds, and thought channel positive versus thought channel negative. And on this channel I pick my favorite 5 big ideas from books that help us actualize our potential, and I deliver them to you, so if you're new here, you can consider subscribing. Also, you can check out my blog post on this video, where I go into a bit more detail on the ideas. I have a link for it below the video. And today we have another great book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Subtitle, Acquire the Secrets of Success, Achieve Everything You've Always Wanted. It's written by David Schwartz, who was a professor at Georgia State University in Atlanta. He was also the president of a consulting firm specializing in leadership development. In addition to that, he was a renowned life strategist. This book was just packed with practical wisdom of how we can start thinking bigger, and I'm excited to share the big ideas with you, so let's jump straight in. The first big idea is EXCUSITIS. Do you know what's one of the most important differences between the mediocre and the successful person? It's really simple. There is a common thought disease that has infected almost everyone on this planet. This disease is called EXCUSITIS, and is usually suffered by the mediocre person who makes excuses for why he hasn't, why he can't, why he doesn't, and why he isn't more than he's demonstrating. On the other side, you have the successful person. All of the excuses that are made by the mediocre person could be but are not made by the successful person. One of the most common types of this thought disease is intelligence excusitis. And that can be explained by the tendency to own the belief of lacking brains or not being intelligent enough. Do you say things like this to yourself? People who suffer from intelligence excusitis usually are using these two faulty perspectives. Number 1, they underestimate their own brain power, and number 2, they overestimate the other fellow's brain power. Do you underestimate your own brain power and overestimate your friend's brain power? When people are using these two perspectives, though, they are missing out on an incredibly important fact. An optimistic and cooperative person with an IQ of 100 will earn much more respect and money than the pessimistic and uncooperative person with an IQ of 120. As David says, what really matters is not how much intelligence you have, but how you use what you have. Are there situations where you are facing challenges and are just not feeling like you're up for the task because you feel so inadequate and uncertain? This is very common, and I feel it all the time too. Now, think of your mind like a bank. Every day you make thought deposits into this bank. These thoughts grow and eventually become your memory. So when you sit down to face a problem or a challenge, it's just like you're asking yourself, what do I already know about this from before? And who supplies you with the answers to your questions? Meet Mr. Teller. Mr. Teller is incredibly reliable. He never crosses you up. He delivers you the exact answers to the exact questions you are asking of him. Let's say you're now going to give a presentation and ask Mr. Teller, can you deliver me some thoughts proving that I am inadequate? He will reliably answer, certainly, sir. Recall the last time you had a presentation and forgot what to say? Recall the last time you asked a girl out on a date and she said no? Recall, and Mr. Teller will continue delivering you thoughts proving that you are inadequate. But what if you instead go and ask Mr. Teller, I face a challenge. Can you deliver me some thoughts that will assist me? He will once again reliably answer, certainly, sir. You recall the last time you had a presentation and everyone applauded wildly? Recall the last time you asked a girl out on a date, the girl who's now your wife? Recall, and Mr. Teller will continue supplying you with thoughts proving that you are going to rock that presentation. Remember now that it is your own questions to yourself I am talking about here. When you sit down to face a challenge or a problem, you really have two choices. Think like the mediocre person or think like the successful person. Successful people specialize in putting positive thoughts into their memory bank. Mediocre people do not. They keep ruminating on the same negative thoughts, just like a cow, spitting out his food, eating it again, spitting out his food, eating it again. But in the end, it's your memory bank. You decide which questions you are going to ask of yourself. And the third big idea is put service first. Is money a desirable object for you? If not, I just have to share this quote that David started out this idea with. The person who says he wants to be poor usually suffers from a guilt complex or a feeling of inadequacy. He's like the youngster who feels like he can't make A's in school or make the football team, so he pretends he doesn't want to make A's or play football. Okay, so I now try to convince you into believing that you actually do want money. But how do you get it? Very many people actually use a backward approach to making money. They go into it with a money first attitude. These people generally forget that money can't be harvested unless they plant the seed that grows the money in the first place. And the money seed is service. Through one of David's stories, I want to show you how money takes care of itself when you put service first. As David was driving through Cincinnati by car toward his work destination, he had to refuel his tank. When he stopped at the gas station, he was wondering why it was so teeming with life around him. The gas station looked so busy. But he found out very quickly. After checking under his hood, cleaning the windscreen and filling up his gas tank, the attendant walked over to David and said, "Pardon me, sir. It's been a dusty day. Let me just clean the inside of your windshield." Quickly and thoroughly he did the job, with no extra charge. And David knew that this attendant could have thought to himself, "This man, David, doesn't live in this town. Chances are a 20 to 1 that he will never be back, so why give him more than routine treatment?" But this attendant didn't think like that. He planted a money seed by putting service first. 8 times David drove by that gas station. 8 times he stopped at that gas station. This story illustrates a strong law working ubiquitously around us. Put service first and money takes care of itself, always. A personal example of this was when I was asked to start cleaning the wardrobes at the local gym. I gladly accepted, working 3 to 5 hours a month with a pay of free membership, which is about $30 per month. That accounts to $4 to $6 of pay per hour. But after this spring break, the managers decided that they were so happy with my cleaning that they decided to pay me by the hour. Hourly pay of $17. That accounts to about $250 to $500 per month, since I also got more work. And it all started with $30 a month, a pay of $4 to $6 per hour. How can you put service first? The fourth big idea is think right toward people. Let's just start off with a firm statement. No person is all good and no person is all bad. The perfect person just doesn't exist. Now imagine that your thinking consists of 2 channels, channel negative and channel positive. If you tune into channel negative, thinking negatively towards another person, it will be much easier for you to continue listening to that channel. So what started off with you getting annoyed by the person's accent turns into you getting annoyed by his looks, his weight, and his beliefs. If you instead tune in to channel positive, thinking a positive thought about a person, it will also be easier to continue on this thought path. What started out with you finding his smile flattering also makes it easier for you to find his looks, his way of speaking, and his beliefs likable. The effect working in both of these cases is a chain reaction of thought. When you think one thought, positive or negative, it will be much easier for you to continue on the same thought path, thinking more positive thoughts or thinking more negative thoughts. But regardless of how annoyed you may be at a person's accent, looks, or beliefs, have this thought ready to mind. No person is all good and no person is all bad. The perfect person just doesn't exist. Your challenge now, if you choose to accept it, will be to find 3 people today and find one thing you like about them. It could be their looks, it could be their clothes, their smile, anything. Just find one thing you like about them and notice how much easier it will be to find more things you like about him. The 5th and last big idea is Mr. A versus Mr. P. Do you have a business idea, health idea, relationship idea, but you aren't sure exactly where to start? The short answer is start somewhere. And now I will get to the longer answer. Let's meet two very different people. The first person is Mr. Activationist. He takes action, gets things done, and follows through on plans and ideas. He is active. The other person is Mr. Passivationist. He postpones doing things until he has proven that he shouldn't or can't do them, or until it's too late. He is passive. The differences between Mr. A and Mr. P shows through in countless of little ways. Mr. A gets up 15 minutes earlier to read something instructional or inspirational to get ideas for improvements in his life. Mr. P hits the snooze button 3 times before he drags himself up to yet another day that he really doesn't want to go through. But the differences also show through in the big things. Mr. A, age 40, is dissatisfied with his job. He figures out that if he spends 5 years to take a master's degree in economics, he will still only be 45 when he's finished, and still have over 20 years of his productive work life left. So he goes to the school bench. Mr. P, age 40, also dissatisfied with his job, decides that he's way too old to start studying now, so he stays in his old job. Mr. Activationist does. Mr. Passivationist is going to do but doesn't. Remember then that excellent ideas are not enough. An only fair idea acted upon and developed is 100% better than a terrific idea that dies because it isn't followed up. For example, I could have waited for things to be just right before I started blogging and making YouTube videos. I am a full-time student, I work 2 part-time jobs, in addition to washing the wardrobes at the local gym, of course. And I have no real education in writing or making videos. I just started out with an idea. I read books and I deliver the ideas to you. I am not perfect and my circumstances are certainly not perfect. I'm just taking the role of an activationist, learning as I go. Who would you rather be? The active person following through on imperfect ideas, or the passive person waiting for the perfect ideas and circumstances? Here's a summary of today's 5 big ideas. Today I explained how the thought disease intelligence EXCUSITIS affects the most of us to a certain extent, and that it's not how much intelligence you have, but how you use it that counts. We met Mr. Teller, who supplies you with answers according to the questions you ask, positive or negative, when you face challenges. I told you the story of how a gas station attendant planted a money seed, putting service first, when he came out to David to clean his car window the first time out of 8. I showed you how one thought, positive or negative, will make it easier for you to think similar thoughts, just like a chain reaction. In addition to that, I challenge you to think one positive thought about the next 3 people you meet. Lastly, we've looked at the differences between Mr. Activationist and Mr. Passivationist, and how it's better to follow through on ideas in imperfect circumstances than it is to wait for the perfect circumstances. Pick the one big idea that resonated the most with you and take the first step in embodying it a little bit more now. There's a lot of interesting content I didn't choose for this video, so I strongly encourage you to read the book yourself. If you have comments or questions, you must definitely write them below this video. And if you want to get new videos every week with 5 big ideas from books that help us actualize our potential, you can click on this fine red subscribe button right here. And if you want to contact me, you can send me a message on Facebook or a tweet on Twitter. I have links for both of them below the video. Thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to sharing more big ideas with you soon. Have an awesome day. See ya.